Get ready to hear how a cheeky idea turned into a viral sensation and catapulted this ceramic artist into a new community. Welcome back to another episode of the Creative Chronicles, the podcast where we dive into the creative journeys of artists who have turned their passions into thriving businesses. I'm your host, Courtney Joyner of Brushstrokes Pottery, and today on the show, I am excited to chat with Molly Sanyour. Molly is a ceramic artist and entrepreneur who has turned her love of pottery and getting her hands dirty into a vibrant community studio, which is opening soon in Atlanta. She is so real and so full of life. And in this episode, she shares the highs and lows of building her business, the excitement she has for teaching others, and the unexpected viral sensation of her famous butt mugs. Yes, you heard me correct. They even caught the attention of singer Lizzo. So I cannot wait to tell you more about that story. But it's not just about the pottery. Molly opens up about why gratitude and dreaming big are essential to her journey. Whether you are an aspiring artist, a seasoned creator, or someone who is looking for inspiration to chase your own dreams, this episode is packed with insights and stories to encourage you. So without further ado, let's get started. Molly, hi.
Hello, Courtney.
You're in one of my favorite cities in Atlanta, right? You're officially in Atlanta. Can we say that?
In Atlanta. Yes, I am in Atlanta, the part of it.
That's so exciting. I can't wait to ask you more about that for sure. We were out there in March and is literally the best food.
Food, the Beltline. I don't know if you got a chance to go to the Beltline. It's one of my favorite things about this city. And I am out there as much as I can be because it's like a party no matter if it's morning, noon, night, day of the week, something's happening. I love it.
Yay. Well, awesome. Well, welcome on the show. I have been a fan. I was trying to think back to following you. I feel like I found you years ago, maybe from the Christmas trees. So
Okay.
maybe like 2018, 2019. I mean, we're going back.
I love that. That's so cool. The internet's so cool for just that reason.
Yes, absolutely. But so much has evolved and you're doing some pretty exciting things. So I can't wait to hear more about that. But for those that may not know you, how about you introduce yourself and tell everyone a little bit about your business?
All right. Well, thanks so much for having me. This is so fun to talk about my creative industry on a podcast all about creative industries. So I'm Molly Sanyour. I'm a ceramic artist and business owner. I just moved from my hometown of Richmond, Virginia, where I was born and raised, taught for 17 years, ceramics most recently, had my own business working out of my basement. And I just made the leap to quit my job and follow my dreams of opening a community pottery studio, where it's kind of like I said, I've left teaching, but really I feel so excited because this will be like my way of teaching on a broader scale. I hope to expand to the internet. I love it when sometimes people will call me the Martha Stewart of ceramics, and that just makes my heart so happy because I love to be in all the little areas, and it's just so fun.
That's
So I'm in
so true.
ceramics and I love clay and I love bringing other people's interest in clay out because really I think clay sells itself. Like who doesn't love clay is one of my taglines because who doesn't love clay unless you don't like your hands getting messy. Everyone loves it. And I think the struggle becomes when you can't make what you want to make immediately. But I love teaching people and getting those aha moments and just seeing the growth in every ceramic artist. I think that's my high school ceramics background. But yeah, so I'm excited to become a community pottery studio owner here in Atlanta.
I'm excited for that too. If you are new to finding Molly, you have to go and follow and watch just the journey. It is so exciting to see all the behind the scenes of what you are building. So that is a lot of fun. So you're trained formally in
Yeah,
ceramics.
I actually have a Bachelor of Fine Arts in ceramics. When I got that, I didn't really know art was a major when I went into college. And so I discovered it later on. So when I left college, I didn't have like the strongest background. And I guess, as you know, it's like nobody after 1 or 2 years is going to be an amazing artist or ceramicist and have the skills developed. But I do have a degree in ceramics.
So what did you start out then when you went to school? What was your degree plan?
Well, I knew my high school college advisor said, let's stop taking art. Let's focus on math, science. Let's get into that good college. And I was right on with that. I was like, yeah, I'm into sports, my friends. And so I dropped art, took extra math sciences, went to college, thought I was going to be a lawyer because I knew I like to have the confrontations and the chats, and I wanted to, make a high income. And that was like doctor, lawyer. So I was like, lawyer. The class list to be a lawyer was terrible. And I'm like, I don't think I can make a life of this. So then I did business. And then at the same time, I was playing club lacrosse.
Oh,
And
wow.
my teammate was had a photography scholarship. I was like, nobody told me art was a major or they were giving scholarships. Like, I missed this memo. So through her, I actually ended up leaving business after just taking one art class. I was like, this is a major, sign me up. So then I told my mom, I was like, I'm going to become a ceramics major. And she like paused and she was like, well, you might want to get your teaching degree too, just to have something. I was like, that's great. To become my art teacher sounds amazing. So ceramics teaching. So I did both of them.
Wow, that has worked out well. Why do you think that is? And I have a friend who's a a high school counselor. I should ask her. For those that like are truly passionate about art, why do you think that is not something? Because there are degree plans in colleges all across the world, so it exists. But why do you feel like people aren't pushed into becoming an artist?
Well, I can only speak on my experience, and I think it was the societal norms. It was the
Mm,
starving artist, and why would you go pay a 4-year tuition to become an artist? Which I agree with. If I was
mm.
doing it again, do I think I need the degree? No, you don't need a degree to become a ceramic artist. You can just put,
I can speak to that,
yeah,
and,
like
and
you do
I
not
don't.
need a degree.
Yeah, I don't throw like you do, but slab building and painting and just figuring out a kiln has been all you know in person lessons just quickly or YouTube. It's
Yes. Yes. And I think also like in the academic world, and I did work at an IB art high school or a high school that had IB, the International Baccalaureate. It was like standards of learning on a global scale. So every IB school has to reach these curriculum standards.
okay.
And so that was like the art history and the culture connection. And like for me, even though I have a degree, that's not my strength. That's not
Hmm.
my passion point. So I think to maybe get more of that academic side, it could be worth it. But like you say, there's YouTube, there's community pottery studios, there's artists to learn from all around you.
That's exciting. Did you do ceramics in high school too?
No,
No.
we
Okay.
and when I went to high school, it was a small private school, and the art room was no bigger than like a 12 by 12 small closet where we did painting and
Wow.
drawing. And that's part of, I think, why I stopped. It wasn't much of a program. And fast forward, that's where I ended up teaching. And during that transition time, they had a huge donor come in, transform the old gym to a pottery and visual arts studio.
Wow.
And it was just amazing. I had never seen anything like it. It was like a wheel for every student, a big open collaborative workspace with tables, and the kids came in outside of their class time and collaborated in their study halls. And it was just so fun.
Wow. I bet that was very therapeutic for the students, for sure.
I mean, art is the best, you know.
Yes.
Everybody listening to this, we know.
Yes, for sure. Have you always been creative? Have you always been a creative spirit?
Yes, and I believe we all are. I believe
Yeah.
everyone's an artist. Being an art teacher back to school night, if I had $1 for every parent who's like, "Oh, I wish I was an artist," I'm like, "You are, you
Uh,
are." And what famous artist said it? It's like, how do we retain Picasso, the childhood in us, and everyone's an artist from cave periods, and they're creating on the cave walls. Like we're artists.
no, absolutely. I agree. I fully believe that we start that way and then something takes over or someone has made some judgment and then we shut down when you could just color. You could just but I also think creative thinking is an art form,
Well,
what
and
my
also
people do with Excel spreadsheets and things like that. That is still an art form, you're thinking outside of the box.
when you're
Um,
creating a
mhm.
system or something. I love it when I see like somebody dressed up so fashionable. They have like a cool
Yes.
accessory or something. I'm like, so you're an artist? And like, oh no, I'm in finance or something. I'm like, no, you're an artist. Look how you put this outfit together. Like it's just creating makes us artists. It doesn't
That's so
matter.
true. A fun fact. even though I've been at this for a while, and my business looked different than how it does now. And it's been really only since just before COVID that I have sold my artwork out into the space. But before that, so it's only been within since like 2020 that I've called myself an artist. Like before that, I was just like, oh, I have this small business. And now I'm like, no, I'm an artist. Like I do this for a living and people purchase, but I don't know why we're so afraid to give ourselves that title.
And maybe you should add artist entrepreneur. And
Yes.
it's like artist entrepreneur podcast host, like
Mm-hmm.
keeps going. So it
Mm-hmm.
kind of gets hard to be in like, I'm an artist, because you're also much more, but definitely an artist. Yes.
Yes. Yes. So all the things that we is self-talk that we have to do for ourselves, right?
Yes.
That's amazing. So ceramics. So you went straight into teaching then back at the high school, you said.
Well, I actually, when I graduated with my ceramics degree, I was told getting an art teacher job is the hardest thing because they only come available if somebody retires or goes on leave for being pregnant or something. So I'm like, oh gosh, I have this degree and I'm not going to find a job. And so I went to my county, not knowing anything. You know, I'd gone to private schools, didn't really, I just wanted a school. So I applied to all the public schools and everything. And I got my first interview. It was at a Title I elementary school, like 5 minutes down the road from my house. So it was great. I was there for 8 years, and that was my first job. And
Okay.
then I moved to the high school level and was there for another 9.
Wow. So when with your congratulations on the studio again.
Thank you. I'm so
So
excited. It's not open yet, but hopefully
okay.
by the time people are listening to this, come on to Atlanta. I'll have Molly Sanyour Ceramic
What is the
Studio.
ETA?
Well, I knew I'd be open last September. I knew I'd move
Oh.
here in June after the school year, and I knew I would be open in September. Like, why not? And
Uh-huh.
so, reality of the journey, I realized it's hard to get the right space. I had several spaces that literally fell through. One space, the floor is too weak.
Mm.
And I only found that in like weeks into exploring that space and working with architects and getting the contractors and the permits. And so the space I found back at the beginning of this year, like January, February 2024. And then I knew I'd be open in June. And now here we are, July. And they are still completing their renovations because it's a brand new build. And once they complete, then I get to start. My
Oh
fingers are
gosh.
crossed for a November 2024 grand opening. But everybody's telling me that that's ambitious. So we'll just see. Like right
We'll
now,
just
that's
see.
yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, we're going to manifest it. We're going to put it out there now into all of the airwaves so that that can be the case. Now, are you creating now at your house?
I did
No,
just Cricut. I just got a Cricut,
I
and
saw
I
that.
went through a bread baking moment and bought the mini wheel to throw and have fun with, but to work with clay in a small apartment with a kitchen area, it's just not the best. You know, clay, you don't want it in your food areas. And so I did that. That was fun. And people have invited me to their studios, which I love a studio tour, but to create,
Yeah,
it takes so much space and time. And so I'm currently just itching to create again.
I bet. I bet. Wow. Well, let's go back to like you teaching and what you love or what you hope to. Will the space be for all ages?
Yes. So originally, because I love teaching and being at that elementary school, one of my favorite things was there was a lot of students who were English as a second language, ESL.
Okay.
And so where they might have struggled in their regular classroom, they would come to art and everyone can like see me draw an animal on the board and then say like, and they, whether they speak English or not, their art is just beautiful and everyone can draw and express themselves. And so seeing how capable and also with cleanup, like who knew a kindergartner in the art room, you could be like, hey, do you want to collect all the crayons? And they just love a job. And like, could you
Wow.
clean this? This is how you clean it. And they just want to clean it. And to find that little ones can really be successful and creative and grow and want to be there and be a part of that community, all the way to I've done some summer classes where I've had 70-year-olds. So the whole gamut. I've always been like, I want from 7 to 70 and beyond. But yes, so I will have opportunities for children and then everybody. I really want it to be an inclusive, all the ages, all the skill levels, all the backgrounds, and we just have fun and we create
Yeah.
and we see what our neighbors doing and we're, oh, cool, what are you making? Oh, maybe I'll try something like that, or how'd you do that? That collaborative space.
Now I want to go. Like we,
Yes,
like I said, every year we come out to Atlanta to see friends. So now I'm like, okay, springtime. I can't wait because that
totally.
will be there. I'm gonna drag them with, and that's
Yes.
gonna be so much fun. You can feel your excitement and your energy. So I can't even imagine what it's like with you in person and like teaching and just,
I am so excited because really I left what was a dream job. It was a dream job. And then I don't know if you know any teachers, but teaching is not a dream job.
Mhm.
And for many reasons and at different places, different things. But to really kind of realize I could fulfill my dream to, I did a different podcast once and they titled it The Student Became the Teacher. And I was like, that's so
Oh.
cool. That's so cool. Because I, even though I didn't take ceramics or art in high school, my elementary memories, I would skip recess and go to the art room. I was always in the art room. Um, so now I feel like in my own head, how cool would it be to go from being like the student to the teacher to, I don't want to say the principal, but like now I have my own community that I can create the schedules and the events and the programs and
Mhm.
and I'm so excited because it really has been a dream. So it's
Ah,
exciting.
that's fun to see. I think that's what's exciting to see in the art community and especially online is just how the evolution of people and the evolution of you've just been continuing to hustle and to go after your dream and not letting anything stop you. Why do you think that is? Do you think that's just your personality or do
I,
you try
I,
to work on?
I only know myself. And so, yes, I would say it's my personality, but I also, it's so interesting how the world works. And somehow I was invited to be an author. So now I'll soon be an author for Slay
Wow.
Atlanta. It's a book of collaborative stories of women slaying their city and leaving a footprint. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just moved here. This is amazing. And
Heck
we had
yeah.
to rate our kind of journey. And I kind of started off by talking about, have you ever thought about your 80-year-old self?
Mm,
And when you look back, what is she telling some great stories, or is she like, you should have left that job? You
mm.
should have done that. And it's like, knowing we only have this one life. And then also your 7, 8-year-old self. Like my little 7, 8-year-old self would think I'm such a badass. Like this is so cool. Like my little 8-year-old self knew I could be a ceramic entrepreneur, like artist. Like, wow, never thought that. So that's kind of like I love to kind of check myself and be like, okay, is this making me excited later, or is this like, come on?
Hmm. So true. So true to look at the lens from your younger self to now and say, gosh, you know, you have achieved and own that like worthiness. Yes, there might still be more that you want to go out and do, but be thankful for how far you've come in this moment and stay kind of in that gratitude kind of
Yes,
space and
yes,
then you can it only fuels in my speaking for myself too but maybe you would agree so I see you shaking your head it only fuels more gratitude it only fuels more good things out there.
yes. Like gratitude, definitely. And it's like you realize that the dream you had that was so big. I don't know if you're a believer in vision boards and kind
Hmm.
of writing out your dreams, but I remember my first exploration of that right after college, kind of just dreaming big. Like, what's my big dream? And at the time, it seemed so impossible. It was like travel to Europe on a train or something and have my own art show and own my own house and all these dreams. I'm like, there's no way. How? I don't know how. And then it was like looking back several years later, it's like, okay, did that, did that, did that. Now it's always like you set these dreams and then you're always setting more, which is
Hmm.
the exciting fun part. So I think like to your point, the gratitude and in any moment to look back and see, yeah, I've come so far and how exciting. What am I gonna do next? Dream big.
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
dream bigger. What's next? That's exciting. Well, speaking of kind of things that have propelled you, I would say in your community, we kind of have to talk about the butt mug for a second. Do you have one? Yes, it's amazing. Okay, so for those that are only listening,
Okay.
let's talk about this. So it's a mug, a pretty simple like modern shape of a butt. And this was a coffee mug, and it even has a little belly button there. I didn't see that on the side. And then your logo on the bottom. Okay, so you created this, and then Lizzo found it or was gifted, and it's blown up. Can you, how did this happen? Like, I'm just, what did you feel? All the things.
Oh my gosh, I still feel so excited about it. A friend of mine from college was in the music industry. She's actually now, I'm so proud of her. She's such a badass woman. She's the president of Live Nation. And
Wow.
she, at the time, because it was a couple years ago now, called, I had done some mugs for different artists that came to leave in their dressing rooms through her and my other friend in the music industry. So it was always so fun. Like there's been other really fun projects that I've done, but this is the only one that, so she asked me, hey, Molly, Lizzo is coming as my artist. Would you make a butt mug for her? And I was like, a butt mug? Like, for Lizzo, yes. And I was like, a butt mug? Like, how am I going to make a butt mug? I just said yes. And then I kind of got to work on it and was playing around. You know, the first one's not the best and kind of just evolving this idea, but it was on a quick timeline. So I didn't have much time to think about it. I just like made her some. And, you know, as a ceramic artist, you don't just want to make one, you want to make a few in case they crack, blow up, whatever. So I ended up sending her a couple of them, and I got to go to the concert. It was so fun. And I knew I was going to meet Lizzo. I never did, but it was just so exciting to be at the concert. And there she had my mug. And then like a year goes by and just nothing. So I figured it was like any of the other projects, just did it. That was so cool. And then it was literally like 1 year later that my students run into the art room, Miss Sanyour, Lizzo's drinking out of your butt mug on her Vogue interview. And I was like, what? And so we looked, and sure enough, there it is. And like looking back, you know, you're like, oh gosh, I could have probably made a better one to give her, but that was the one she got. So it was so fun. It was so exciting. And then shortly thereafter, she was naked on a Dove campaign with just my butt mug covering her boob.
Oh.
She'd be on TikTok. She was making a vegan soup and took my butt mug and just scooped out of it and is drinking. And it was this whole thing. It was so exciting and so cool and so beyond like anything I would have imagined. She never once mentioned me. I've reached out, tried to like, hey girl, nothing, but that's okay. She's busy and has a lot going on. But people were so excited about it. They're like, can I get one? Can I get one? Can I get one? And all I was making was butt mugs. And I was like, I cannot make butt mugs forever. And I was like, how cool. And I was upping the price. I mean, it's not a complicated mug by any means. I just couldn't make them enough. So they were up to like $90, which I thought was a lot for just a simple mug. And so I'm like, there has to be a better way. So I did a Kickstarter to mass produce them. And then that helped bring the price down and get them to more people. So now I'm no longer, especially I don't even have a studio right now, so I'm not hand making them right now.
Wow. But that original one is hand formed.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Wow.
Yes. And I sent her some more. And then I actually got a chance. I switched over to black clay. So if you look back, the same friend was like, hey, can you make something else? She's coming again. Now she's in an arena. And I'm like, yeah. And I'm like, well, how can I up the butt mug for Lizzo?
Yeah.
So I switched to black clay. It's this beautiful kind of raw clay. And I did a black butt mug, and I did a black full figured base that I ended up having to keep a few for myself because there was only, limited amount. And it just was gorgeous. And I only did a few pieces in that clay, and then have packed in my studio. And again, I've never heard anything on those. So I don't know if she's her favorite things. I don't know, but.
Okay, Lizzo, we're putting it out there. You have got to contact Molly. Like it is something. Say hi. Oh gosh. Wow. So now this just, for my own nosiness, are you producing those like just overseas, or did you get a mold that was made?
So it's so interesting how the internet works, because at the same time of me even like kind of thinking about this mass production, someone on the internet, well, I guess I got an email first from a company being like, hey, we'll help you mass produce your work. We found you on the internet. We'd love to mass produce your work. I'm like, this is just spam. Bloop. And then on the Instagram, someone had said, hey, Molly, like I see your work. It would probably be great to reproduce. I'm a store owner, and I do mass production for my own pieces in my own store. Like I could definitely talk to you about it. I'm like, interesting. So we start chatting, and the same connection she recommended me to had been in my email that I thought was spam. They're a local company in the States, and they kind of source out where to produce them, and then they have to house them and ship them out. And so I haven't had to do
I
much.
might, if you're open to passing along that contact, I might be
Yeah,
interested because that's
totally,
the
totally.
goals for the cactus to do more. But I mean, right now there's some that I don't pour, but there are some that I pour, but would love to do some different shapes and things like that. And that's always like the next step as an artist, right? How do you do more, but still keep it your unique design and kind of put that out there? Because you're selling on Amazon, right?
Yes, and that was also with the help of the distributors helped me kind of link up on Amazon. And I do have the package here that I just love.
I
My friend,
love that.
and the same another friend in the music industry is like a beautiful branding designer. Like she helped me with my logo, and she helped me design this. I just think it's so cute. So I just
It's so
love
cute.
that.
Obviously a 4 cubed box, and it says like the butt and then mug on another side, and then it's got just like the outline of like a little cute little booty there. So that's just precious. It goes with the whole thing. Did you ever think that that's how you would be known?
No, never, never, never. But it's fun. But yeah, no, never.
Looking for that perfect gift, that plant lover in your life? Introducing ceramic cactus trees from Brushstrokes Pottery. Handcrafted with care, these timeless pieces bring a touch of nature indoors. What sets them apart? You can change out the lights for every season, making it a year-round lighted keepsake. Add some greenery and warmth to any space with these unique creations in over 30 different colors and styles. Visit our website, brushstrokespottery.com, to find the perfect one for you. And be sure to use code PODCAST for 10% off your first order. Brushstrokes Pottery, handcrafted ceramics bringing happiness home. Wow. But I'm sure there's other exciting things that are on the horizon for designs. How do you stay up to date on trends and what to do?
Well, and I love that you mentioned my trees, the Winter Wonderland trees,
Yes.
as I have ended up copywriting them, which I love to talk about
Yes.
that too, because some people I see the conversation as artists like, oh, how do you copyright anything? Nothing's original. And from the business standpoint of mass producing and having gone to seminars and things and hearing about copyrights and trademarks, it seemed like a smart thing to do was to copyright my butt mug before mass producing them so that if someone else had one, that
Mhm.
I'm not then screwed in that department. So after the butt mug, I was like, okay, well, what's the next item that I just don't want to make all the time? Like, because I want to be creative. And it's my Winter Wonderland trees. So I have a copyright on those, which it is just interesting to kind of sit back and hear the conversations because so many people get so upset about if they think that an artist is claiming something,
Mhm.
but beyond the claiming, it's just the business aspect that if
Mhm.
you're thinking of mass producing your cactus,
Mhm.
you want to make sure that you're not mass producing them and somebody else is going to be like, wait a minute,
Yep.
those are mine. So to have a lawyer kind of comb through and be like, yep, you're good to go.
No, absolutely. I've had a different way, but I've had people that are using my marketing images for all the cactus to promote a plastic version out there. And so it
Yeah.
has been a process now, finally, with a new legal team of officially copywriting my images also,
There
because
you go.
that even think of that was a thing. So not only can you copyright your work, but you can also copyright your images just to protect yourself because they're selling and it's hurting my brand for something that's not the quality. It's not ceramic at all. It's a resin piece of we won't even say it. We won't even like call it what it is. But anyway,
Yeah,
so that's
you're always gonna, imitation's the highest form of flattery. You're always gonna have people kind of doing similar styles, and especially as a teacher, that you learn from kind of seeing something and doing it your own. And I think it was Jerry Saltz was the commencement speaker or something at an NCCA, the clay conference one year, and the thing he said that stuck out to me was, you want to steal like an artist. There's that great book to read, Steal Like an Artist, where you're
yes.
kind of collecting from artists and make your own. But he said, I don't want to stand in front of your art and say, oh, it's a total Van Gogh. It's giving me Van
Mm-hmm.
Gogh. Because then you're only thinking of, so you always kind of want to be creating something that isn't reminding someone else of someone else. You want to be like, oh, that's a Courtney. Like that's an original. Like we
Yes.
know that's her style. So I think that's always the goal is to find your unique style and voice. But some people start from somewhere and, you just hope it evolves.
Yeah, absolutely. Gain inspiration for sure, but tweak it and always say have faith in yourself and trust your own intuition and ideas that you can do something just a little bit different. You
Yeah.
know?
Like with the trees, I love how the trees, my winter wonderland trees that just kind of went viral and people loved them. And the videos were satisfying, cutting the clay with the scissors,
Yes.
which I kind of got that idea from watching glass blowers. And I was like, you know how
Really?
they snip? It's so satisfying. And so I was like, oh, because I'd done the first one with an X-Acto knife and it took so long and it was so sharp. So the scissors were just so satisfying. And, so I'm always so flattered when I see a tree, but then when I see the same tree dipped in white, which is very
Mhm.
basic, very, I'm not creating anything crazy or brand new, but it's just like, okay, well, maybe you dip yours in green, or
Yep.
maybe you splatter yours, or just something to make it like, okay, I know this is a similar type of form, but I know this is their original work.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. So the trees, for those that haven't seen them, describe them a little bit as far as their shape.
Yes, so they are wheel thrown cones, if you will, like in a tree form. And then when they're leather hard or so, you can take scissors and I kind of go down one side and snip, snip, snip to make the branches kind of flare out. And then the tedious part that I never show is when they're bone dry, cleaning up all the little burrs of clay that are so rough. And I can't tell you how many I've broken in the process of them just shattering in my hands. But then they are dipped in a white glaze and they are just a classic like winter time piece. It's not
Mm-hmm.
even like holiday oriented, but like if you like to decor, I sell so many sets of 3 in different heights and people
Mm-hmm.
then also like buy another one and build their collection. So it's like a very timeless winter holiday decor.
I love that. Do you ever have with a light?
So you can put like the little battery light underneath. Somebody
Mm-hmm.
asked me that one time and I was like, I don't know, let me try. And I put a candle and it totally singed the inside with like the smoke. So I wouldn't recommend
Oh,
a real candle, but
I have one. I'll send it to you. They started making it. National Artcraft started making them last year, but it's a little LED light that's a battery operated that you would need at least an inch and a half at the bottom,
Mhm, mhm.
but would illuminate. It might be pretty.
That sounds
Just
awesome.
to do, or I've got a couple. I could send one to you. I would love to see what. I bet they would be gorgeous then, just like that glow.
Well,
Yeah,
in fact,
entryway
like I'm
tables.
so curious because last holiday, like usually my trees, that's like what I focus on from like July to November. And last year I was without a studio. And so this
Yeah,
year I'm like, am I going to be back? And people have already been asking me, like, are you going to have trees? Are you going to have trees? I'm like, I hope so. So I think that would be the first thing I make if I get back to work
absolutely. And you ship those all over.
all over the world.
Oh, gosh, I know. How's your packaging? Are you doing bubble wrap and paper
I
and
started, oh my gosh, I will just share this little journey because I know that this is a huge pain point for ceramic artists, especially as shipping. And I remember my first time, I actually didn't even ship it myself. My sister in Charleston, South Carolina wanted some mugs. I was like, sure. Brought the 3 mugs to FedEx. They packaged them and shipped them, and it was like $40 or something. I'm like, how does anyone make a living? How do you ship like this? And then I had an Uber ride, and the Uber driver shipped China sets on eBay. And I'm like, how do you ship them? How do you ship China? And they were like, you get the medium sized bubble wrap, you wrap around 3 times so that when you touch it, you don't feel any sharp edges. And I've never had one break. And I was like, what?
wow?
So then I switched to that method and I was doing the bubble wrap 3 times around. I'm like feeling it. I'm like, okay, never had anything break. But the mark you leave on the environment is so gross with bubble wrap. And so
I
I was like,
know.
oh gosh, I can't be this gross person. Let me switch to something else. And that's when I discovered the Rand pack, that kind of crinkly paper.
Oh,
It's
yes.
like 2 layers and one's a smooth tissue and then the bottom one's like you stretch it out and it becomes like honeycomb and you can wrap your stuff. And kind of the same idea, you wrap it until like you feel the edges, and you don't want, if you feel the edges, you're gonna break something probably. And so just kind of being aware of how careful everything's wrapped. And then I tried to scale down the size of the items that I was listing to sell,
Mm,
because to list a 20-inch vase that weighs 30 pounds, hopefully a vase doesn't weigh that much, but is just a lot more tough to ship than a mug.
yeah.
So I think kind of trying to limit to a certain set scale to
Hmm.
ship and wrap.
And also, I don't know if you find this, but then I like to have standard boxes that then I'm ordering in bulk and keeping around. So it's like, okay, that one can fit either a large cactus or 2 baby cactus. And then it's like, I don't have 20,000 boxes that are just trying to figure out everything.
Totally. Yeah. Once you kind of, and it kind of is like, just do it. Just start. Like Nike's, just do it and just ship something, even if it's taking it to the store and seeing how they do it. And
Yeah.
then buy a few packaging materials, and then like ultimately anything you buy in bulk is going to be cheaper. And totally, yeah.
And also, I mean, you'd never want this to happen, but learning from when things break, right?
Mm.
I mean, I get upset about it, but I'm also was like, okay, can you send us pictures? What could we have done better? Did we need more bubble wrap? Do I need to have a box that has like reinforced walls? Like I'm going to pay a little bit extra for a box that's extra sturdy so that then I'm not having to put as much stuff inside, bubble wrap, just tweak it, just kind of learn, right, from your mistakes.
Exactly. And I don't know about you, but I also, another fear I had when I started shipping was, how am I going to do it? How do I keep up? How do I manage who's what and where, and then you like hit go, and like it's not necessarily like a firestorm, it's like, okay, I can handle this. So these like false narratives that we tell ourselves of like, it's going to be so scary, but you just do it. Yeah.
Yeah, and you figure it out then. But if you're trying to plan so much, I've had the idea to do this podcast for years, but I was overthinking it. And I was like, just do it and learn and go with it. That's how you've done everything else in your life, because that's the beauty of experiencing life and experiencing art. Like every little bit gets better, I mean, I would venture to say that your first mug or your first tree looks very different from how it looks.
It's embarrassing. I see the people who are so excited for my first trees and supported me and have collections of them. I am mortified at what they look like then. I'm like, oh, but and to this same type of story of like being so overwhelmed that you just don't do it. I don't know about you, but my first business card, I just thought that was going to be the end all be all. Let me take forever to design this business card. Let me order the most maximum because it's going to be cheapest. And like, oh my gosh, this business card. And then the same friend that's helped me with branding, she's like, just print one. And so finally we just printed one, and lo and behold, like a month later, I added like an Instagram handle. So it's like, oh, let me update this business card that I was so frozen on. And like someone told the story about the Coca-Cola. It's like, they are this, it seems evergreen business, and their logo, Coca-Cola, how iconic and recognizable it is. But if you look back at their history of logos, like that has evolved. It's not like they just came out the gate as this logo that is like the end all be all. So even major companies just do it and kind of evolve and transform, and you never know what the next chapter will be.
Yeah. That's the exciting part. That's what keeps, I think, entrepreneurs doing what we do, right? Because you just never know. I mean, and I love that question. I don't know if you do. What people will say, well, what are you going to do after nobody wants to buy any cactus or something like that? Or what's going to be the next big thing? And it stresses, I can see it, that it's stressing them out. And I'm like, I don't know. That's the beauty of it. Maybe there'll be a new design. Maybe there'll be a new color. I don't get excited about that uncertainty.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I'm excited about the uncertainty, but I do love the whole mentality, the artist. It's always is what's next. And like we just talked about, looking back on anything we did 10 years ago, 5 years ago, last year, it's like, oh my gosh, look at me now. And that's going to be ourself right now in a few more years. Like, oh my God, I can't believe I said that on, the podcast, whatever. But you move forward, and it's always growth, and that's the beauty of life. And we only have this one life, so it is exciting to see these chapters and how it evolves.
Speaking a little bit about that, do you ever face imposter syndrome on social media or out there in the art world?
I love this question because I think everyone experiences imposter syndrome. And I don't know if you watched Ryan Serhant, or he's a Bravo celebrity. I love Bravo. And
was he the New York, the guy that just
yes.
Okay,
yes. In Manhattan, he's like $1 million, billion, $1 trillion, built this business. And even he was talking about his imposter syndrome. So I definitely believe we all have it. Yes, I've had it. And Mel Robbins' podcast had a whole episode on imposter syndrome, or maybe it was just a moment. It was her and her daughter talking about imposter syndrome, and the daughter had it because she was in the music industry or something and had imposter syndrome about doing this tour or something. And they basically boiled it down to that the imposter syndrome just meant that you were nervous because you were doing something you haven't done before, that you had this imposter syndrome because it's not like you're imposing to be somebody, but to get to that next step, you don't know what you're doing because it's a new territory. So I kind of have just since that podcast, so that's been like a year or two, have kind of just, that's what the North Star. It's like, oh, you're feeling imposter syndrome. Well, this is exciting. You're
Yeah.
pushing yourself to do something. You don't know how to do everything. It's going to be a big learning curve. And then you'll have imposter syndrome about something else, you know?
Ding it. It's a part of life,
Yeah,
recognizing
I
when it
think
comes up.
I think if you're feeling it, it's kind of an exciting recognition to be like, I'm only feeling this because I want to do this thing that I don't know how I'm doing. And I'm
Yeah.
presenting like I know how to do it, but I don't because I'm new to it. But who's to say in like another month or so, you do know. So you're not,
Yeah.
it's just a sign, I think, that you're excited to do something you haven't done, you haven't mastered yet, but you want to do it. So that's not a bad thing. I think it's just that little intuition in us.
That's a great way to frame it and a great way to look at it so that it goes back to like staying in that grateful and positive atmosphere instead of completely putting a different lens on it and making it negative. You're switching it and saying,
Yeah.
nope, this is good for me. This is exciting. This is pushing me forward. What a great way for artists to like, I mean, anybody, but especially artists to take away
Yeah.
from.
I give that to Mel Robbins because it was our podcast. I was like, yes, girl, yes. It just means I haven't done it yet.
Yes, you
Yeah,
should send her a butt mug.
I
She,
should.
she
Look,
would
I
get a
got
kick out of
like
it,
that.
I
Yeah,
think. I think she would
she's
get
so
a real
cool.
kick out of it. Well, you speaking of social media, you always I see you all the time. You show up. You're if it's not, the reclaimed art um
Oddly satisfying.
drawer. Oh,
Yes,
so oddly satisfying. But
uh,
also, I don't know. Maybe if I had that, I would actually do it. I'm really bad with reclaimed clay. I'm so bad.
okay.
But it's fascinating to watch on social media. And I think you've always just shown up. And I think that is important for artists to give people a little bit of behind the scenes or to just be present on social media. Would you agree with that?
I mean, again, to each their own. I have friends who don't even have a social media account, and I
Okay.
have friends with businesses who don't want to post and are doing just fine in their business. Maybe their business isn't about that, but I just think that social media is such a tool, it's such a free resource. I have followers in the country that I have never met or couldn't even imagine connecting with. And yet there we are chatting on Instagram. And it's just so cool to me, the reach that you can get by sharing. And I think me personally, I always have a history of loving to document and record and edit. Like it goes back to show, like I'm much older than I'm assuming a lot of the people might be listening that everything was on social media, but back when I was in college I had a camcorder with a tape
Okay.
cassette.
I
And
feel like we're like similar,
I'm sure we
similar
are, but
vibe.
I'm
Yeah.
imagining my niece and nephew being like, you can record everything. But this was back when like we would go to a party and I would bring out my video set. And of course, everybody's like, what are you doing? But this is also before reality TV. This is before reality TV. So it wasn't like I don't know. But so everyone would give you the hardest time. They'd like, what are you doing? What are you doing? And then the next day we'd all be like, let's watch it. And you would relive the night and have the best time. And like same thing with group pictures. I am the one in the group to be like, everybody group picture, and everybody's rolling their eyes and we don't want to do this, Molly again. And then as soon as it's taken, they're like, will you send that to me? Can I see it? Let's take another. And I'm like, I just love to document.
Mhm.
And when social media came out, I was like sucked down the dark hole of watching other satisfying videos. And so I was finally put it together. I'm like, well, I love watching them. I love making them. Let me do
Done.
both. And it became like a memory book. I'm like, if
Yeah.
I make this piece and I post and share it, I can look back and remember what I did, how I did it, what it looked like. So it kind of was also self-serving.
Mm. I love that. So you're like, hey, this is something that I can use, but we're just going to go with it. Do you kind of have that mentality around it? Like, let's just not overthink it. Let's just go in the moment and just
Totally.
like,
Yes. Like everything I do is usually like happening that moment or
okay.
within the day or two. It's not like planned out. Now here I'm without a pottery studio, and my whole social media has been grown over ceramics, pottery studio, and I've been without one for over a year. So sometimes I'll try to pull back some old videos just to remind people like, hey, I do work in clay,
Yeah.
even though I'm also posting about the restaurant I went to and the park I discovered. Or I think that the key with social media is to stay social. And that
Absolutely.
involves not only posting consistently, but interacting with people, whether they're commenting, you need to respond. If you're in real life and somebody said, "Hey, I love your work," you would say thank you, or you wouldn't just ignore them and walk away. So, some kind of interaction. And I definitely think too, like consistency is key, kind of
Mhm.
going back to my Bravo reference. I love Bravo, the reality TV, and they will just post nonstop about the new show coming out. I mean,
Yep.
every commercial break, like, Below Deck is coming out. You know it because they've told you 18 million times. And so I kind of had that mentality with my Instagram. It's like, I know I just posted, but barely anybody saw that. But let me post again and again and again, because if you want them to see it,
Yeah.
you've got to just keep posting.
Yeah. Gosh, I just thought too, you've got all the Atlanta housewives out there now that like need butt
Girl,
mugs and like,
girl, they need to come into the studio too. How much fun would they have?
yes. Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my
Once
gosh.
you're ready, I'm going to like get on your social media too and like tag everybody
Please,
constantly.
everybody tag everybody. I really want to get Seth Rogen. He is a
Yes.
pottery enthusiast. We are actually
Yes.
Instagram friends, even though we've never really chatted in real life. But I'm like, Seth, what do I need to do to get you to come? We'll do
Oh
a
my
thrift.
gosh.
Oh,
You get him there, you send me a note, I'm on a flight. I'm just going to
yes,
I'll film it for you guys. Like I'll just be your videographer like
anyone,
free. I'll do it for
anyone.
free. All the things.
But the
Um
dream big to put it out there.
yes. Yes, yes, yes. Also, side note, uh have you been we went to a new restaurant when we were out there with our friends in Atlanta called The Gun Show. Have you heard of The Gun Show?
Yes. And I went, and what a fabulous experience.
Right?
My
So
God.
different. I mean, you talk about artistic, that they were new chefs like all the time that they can present or try out their dishes and then they bring you around the menu and you can say what you want to try. And they're small portions but very artistically
So
well
creative.
done.
That's one of my favorite things about ceramic specifically as a medium, was being able to realize that I could take my love of food and
Mm.
cooking and entertaining and hosting and make my own dinnerware set. There's nothing
Wow.
better than having your own dinnerware set that then you make a meal and you invite your friends over and everyone's using your dishes and you're like, yes. And so here in Atlanta, the gun show is amazing. I in Richmond, where I moved from, I had recently collaborated with some chefs because I think that's so amazing to have your plate it with such beautiful food. And so here in Atlanta, I'm actually working to collaborate with some different chefs too, because I just a beautiful plate on a beautiful
Yes.
plate is just
That's so true. Gosh, it makes sense then. Your personality and all about inviting and getting people together in the group setting, that it makes sense that that brings you joy too, that you're a part of people's happy memories, if you will.
Courtney, this whole podcast. Like, I just love you. I think this is
That's
great.
so awesome. Well, so for we're full, I feel like, in kind of staying in the abundance, but and that's our realm. But what would you say to people that say that the art world is too oversaturated, or if the young artist that's out there that says, especially from your teaching standpoint, I can't do this. There's what do I offer the world?
Well, I think that goes back to your 80-year-old self. And if your dream in your heart is, I want to be an artist, and you yourself are the one saying you shouldn't be when you are the one who wants to be, then I think that's that inner conversation to like really acknowledge that if you want to be one, be one. And I will say
Mm.
I've only been in this full-time entrepreneur realm for a year, if that. And it's been a transition. I'm not even where I need and want to be yet. So I went decades of working other jobs while pursuing my art and always taking classes and learning from other people. And every step is a part of the journey to get where you want to be. So if your dream is to be an artist and you're telling yourself you can't because it's oversaturated, then that's a conversation you need to have with yourself.
Yeah. Yes. No, that's great advice. That's great advice to look inward and journal about it, right? Maybe you never know. And I always like to say we can all be similar, but you might be the secret sauce behind something. So what you do and what you bring in your energy makes it that much different from even the two of us. We could probably make the same thing, and the way we're going to market it or talk about it is just going to gravitate to different people. So I think that's what the
Totally.
beautiful thing with art is, that there's enough out there for somebody to connect with you on.
Oh, totally. That was, again, what I loved about the high school. And I refer to the high school because I haven't had my own studio yet. And I'm sure and hoping that this applies there too. But it is just so fun to take a group of students who, in my situation, had to be in an elective. So not all of them felt like they were, again, the quote unquote artists and had that mentality. But to take them, and over the course of a few weeks of the semester, I would take the first half and teach them different techniques. And then I'd say, you might not like wheel throwing, you might not like hand building, but you're just going to learn these techniques. And then the second half of the semester was always geared towards building their art show. And coming from elementary school, where you would go to the elementary school art shows and you can tell everyone had done the project where you put the portrait, like every art piece looked the same. And so I just was so excited to be in the high school level where, especially with clay, you take these fundamental skills, but you can do endless things with them. So when we got to that second portion, they all had to dream up, what do they want to create and present at this art show? And they had to make a body of work. So it had to be 3 pieces or more. And it could have been they wanted stripes on their pieces. So they made different pieces, but they all had stripes. Or maybe this student wanted to sculpt dragons. So he had a sculpted dragon, a carved dragon, and dragons were his theme. But it's just so fun at the end of every semester, the art show, the variety that you got, because everyone is so different.
Yes.
So you just have to find what you enjoy sitting and doing, and then that becomes your thing.
Yeah. So true. So true. Really? Yes. Because then all of that. So true. Well, this is, I cannot wait for the studio. So obviously that's probably the next big thing that you're super excited about, but maybe the article. Are there any other fun things on the horizon that we should know about?
It just bringing the studio to life, the build out. I'm so excited to see that start happening. Being on your podcast, I had the author in the book. It's just fun to be in a new city.
Yeah.
I got a loan through Invest Atlanta, which is special to Atlanta. And I found out that they might be documenting my process. So I think that would be really cool. So it's just, you never know. It's like every day is a new adventure.
Yeah. Gosh, what if there needs to be a Bravo show, like a Bravo something
That's
to
one of my
happen there?
goals, Throwing with Molly, but on a network. Because I've done Throwing with Molly, a show where I bring a guest, they sit beside me, I pretend like I'm Andy Cohen with my cue cards and throw clay. And then I was doing it live on Instagram and just throwing it to YouTube. And I hope that evolves with this new studio. I actually am building out a spot to film.
That you can do that.
The show, will take off. And I'd love to be on a network somewhere with Pottery.
Oh my gosh, it's going to happen. It's like, what is it? It's a British show, like the Pottery show.
The Pottery Throwdown. And I looked on that, but you have to live in England. You have to be a resident over there. There are all these stipulations.
But why does that not exist here? Why does it not exist here and filmed at your new studio space? Like, it just makes sense. Like, you have that. It makes sense. We're going to make this happen selfishly because I want to watch.
I love that. I hadn't even thought to film that in my studio. I was just thinking of other there's so many pottery shows we can do.
Gosh, what if you even did like a little mock-up of you follow, and maybe it's like a short little series that you produce yourself that is like with a few people and contestants, if you will, and you kind of do a little mock show and then you put it up on YouTube. I've seen people do that constantly where they do their own little matchmaker show and then people are hooked. And then you get the attention of a producer.
And like we've kind of been talking, like you just have to do it, just start somewhere. So definitely a great idea.
Because why not, right? If not you, somebody else. So why not let it be you first?
Yeah. Yep. I love that.
So fun. So much fun. Well, this has been absolute joy. Tell everyone how they can find you, where they can find you, where they can buy a butt mug. We'll link everything in the show notes, but tell us where we can go and follow.
This has been so wonderful. I hope I get a lot of new friends and clay enthusiasts from this. And you can follow me on Molly Sanyour Ceramics on everything. So it's MOLLYSANYOUR Ceramics. So my website, mollysanyourceramics.com, Instagram, mollysanyourceramics.com, TikTok, YouTube, Skillshare.
Wow. Skillshare too, teaching. I guess that makes sense.
And once I get the studio up, I really hope to expand that virtual teaching again. I'm kind of shut down. I had an online membership group Throwing with Molly through Patreon, and we would meet and I'd help artists kind of grow their skills and their brand. And so that will come back too.
That's so exciting.
Love play, make sure we connect. Molly Sanyour Ceramics.
Hey. So much fun. Well, thank you so much for being here. This has been great. And I can't wait to stay in touch and be new ceramic friends, new entrepreneur friends. How about that?
Yes, Courtney, this was such a treat. It's been such a great, it's been exciting to watch you too. Like this podcast has been well done. So thank you. And I'm
Thank
excited to watch you
you.
continue to grow.
Appreciate that. Yay.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you so much for listening to the show this week. Please make sure to click the follow button on your podcast app so you never miss a new episode of the show. And remember, if you want to nominate a small business artist for an upcoming episode, send an email to the address listed in show notes and let me know all about them. Until next time, stay creative.